Which secondary antagonist is more evil than the main antagonist? Todd in Breaking Bad. The way he is so polite and cordial to people is terrifying. Burke from Aliens. At least you don't see the xenomorphs fucking each other for a goddamned percentage. Yeah, the xenomorphs are just living out their life cycle, being their best selves. Mrs. Lovett gaslights a mentally ill neighbor she has a crush on to murder people who inconvenience her and to increase her profits. She's way more evil than Sweeney Todd, even though she never murders anyone herself. That seemed stressful to write. How about a shave, a stylish trimming of the hair, a soothing skin massage? Sit. Scott evil. He actually went through with the frickin' sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their frickin' heads. I'd say number 2 because he brought about Verchuken's control over cable companies in 38 states in Dr. Evil's absence. I can't think of anything more evil. Joseph Goebbels. Joseph Mengele has entered the chat. True story. My dad's lifelong best friend's dad was in the camp with Mengele as a Jewish prisoner. He was spared his life because he was able to speak fluent German, Polish, Russian, and English and was able to communicate orders, directions from guards to prisoners and be a general translator in the camp. He ended up getting a severe infection in his throat and was actually saved by Mengele with an emergency surgery and tracheotomy. Imagine knowing Mengele saved your life, even if it was only because he found you useful. The Nazis had so many crazy characters in the inner circle. Alfred Rosenberg was so nuts even Hitler thought he was wacky. Stephen Warren from Django Unchained. From the movie, I got the impression that Candy was an idiot but a useful one and that it was Stephen who ran Candyland with an iron fist. He ran manipulation circles around Candy. He was the one who put Hildy in the box when Candy, Django and Schultz arrived because she tried to run away. Candy's sister seemingly was there just to be a rich lady who liked to throw status parties and do nothing more than that. I don't see her lifting a finger to do anything. So, Stephen and not her was the one giving orders on how to run the place and how to punish the slaves. While Candy was away, that scene in the parlor, it was Stephen who was sitting in the master's chair and drinking the high-end liquor while Candy sat in the other seat, leaning in like child listening to the parent. You just know that if Stephen wanted to, he could have easily killed Candy and run away. But why would he when he could play dumb and run the empire? Candy was evil, but Stephen was even more so. He even had a better entrance. Emo. Candy's introduction was great, don't get me wrong, but he was friendly and had a curiosity about hi monsieur. Stephen comes storming out screaming about Django being on a horse and bragging about throwing Hilda in the hot box. Fucking evil from the first minute. Doofenshmirtz's parents. It all began on the day of my actual birth. Both of my parents failed to show up. Azula from Atla. Azula is a much better and infinitely more interesting villain than Ozai. But I wouldn't say she is more evil. IDK man, it was her idea to burn down the Earth Kingdom so I'd at least put them on equal footing. To be fair, Azula was most like Darth Vader, Ozai was more like Palpatine. Fun fact, Mark Hamill voiced Ozai. Ozai was evil, but he was faceless for so long. You know he's there pulling the strings. But he never actually does anything until the very end. Meanwhile, Azula takes the main characters down multiple times. And each time, they only escape by luck. The threat is tangible with Azula. Additionally, when Ozai does show up, he loses the first and only real fight he's in. Azula never loses. Even at the very end she isn't beaten by the gong. She's defeated by herself and her own insecurity. Edit. Based on your username, I'd have expected you to say Aang. Count Rugen vs. Prince Humperdinck and the Princess Bride. Dude had a hidden torture dungeon called the Pit of Despair. Slightly more evil than stuck-up rich boy playing political games. I agree with this. Movie Rugen was more sinister, though. To beat that guy. In the novel it was Humperdinck's dungeon and it had 5 levels of dangerousness. Nothing was on the most dangerous level. Level 5. Until he captured Wesley. Also in the novel, the reason Humperdinck wanted to start a war with Gilder was because they sent him a bald woman wearing a wig, obviously, to be his bride. It also was the reason why he wanted to marry the most beautiful woman in his own kingdom. Monsieur. Novel. Humperdinck did many things and was evil as shit. In Gotham, I think Victor Jaws was way worse than Carmen Falcone. So can I kill him now? No Victor, make him a cheese toasty. Yes, kill him. Not sure why I read this Nander's voice from What We Do in the Shadows. So can I kill him now? Master? Quote. No Guillermo. Make him a cheese toasty first, yes. Kill him. Quote. It's weird because I'm watching What We Do in the Shadows right now. I can hear that as well now. Gunnar from Adventure Time. He is the most evil being in all of existence. I stopped watching Adventure Time a while ago, but if this is actually true I guess I best catch up. Bellatrix Lestrange was cold. Edit. Okay, I'll admit Umbridge was also on another level. Bella is impulsive and sadistic, whereas Voldemort is grandiose and domineering. Voldemort wouldn't physically violate someone. He would just kill, but he would order his minions to do whatever they wished, knowing that they would enjoy doing so and thus become more loyal to High Monsieur. Bella is exactly the sort of minion who would physically violate a kidnap victim, and enjoy doing it, and become more loyal to the Lord who let her do it. So, for that matter, are Fenrir Greyback and some other antagonists of the series, notably Dolores Umbridge and possibly Argus Filch. Dolores Umbridge. I'm fairly certain the reason she tops these lists of evil villains so often is because everyone on Earth can relate to dealing with someone like her. It can be a teacher, a boss, a relative, whatever. But we all know someone who's just that much of a cunt. Voldemort is a powerful evil wizard. Umbridge is just a fucking cunt. Voldemort is obsessed evil. He is fully obsessed with Harry Potter. Ultimately that was his downfall. Bellatrix was crazy evil. She did what she could just because she could. Umbridge is smart evil. Her only focus was on retaining her power. Everything she did was about herself and no one else. Umbridge is scary because smart evil usually survives. The other two may or may not. Ridley from Metroid. Despite being easily the series' most iconic villain, and Samus' eternal arch-rival, motherfucker ate her parents right in front of her. He's rarely ever the in-game main antagonist, final boss, and usually works under people like Mother Brain. But Ridley is one savage and evil motherfucker. Metroid is super fucking dark when you read into the lore. That's not even the most fucked up thing Ridley did to Samus, and it strongly implied multiple times that Samus suffers from debilitating PTSD because of Ridley. I reckon anyone would have crippling PTSD if they fight a space dragon that ate their parents. Then when you think it's dead and you're doing your thing, it comes back as a robot space dragon. Edit. Art 8. Much different story this way. Lady Macbeth. I keep forgetting if Macbeth was the bad guy or not. Carnage. Sure, Spider-Man has a massive rogues gallery and there isn't really a primary or secondary antagonist, but when you think of main villains it usually comes under Goblin or Venom. Monsieur both have their own motivations that lead to a lot of people dying. Not Carnage though. Carnage just wants to kill everything and everyone. He lives and breathes murder. Cassidy is an absolute psychopath, and giving him that hellish symbiote was a mistake. Wasn't Carnage created specifically so Venom would look less evil by comparison? Like Venom was so popular they kinda had no choice but to turn him good? Yeah, Venom as a symbiote was originally going to be passed around the Rogues Gallery. They were going to have Venom Goblin and Venom Ock, and similar. But Venom was so popular they couldn't split them up. They also wrote themselves into a wall because Venom granted knowledge of Parker's identity to its host, which could be problematic. The Knave of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Total manipulator who turned the slightly mean Queen of Hearts into a total homicidal maniac. I was thinking Alice in Wonderland Total was some kind of reboot. Tuco Salamanca. He was just batshit crazy. Also shout out to the Salamanca twins. Their only intention was to kill and seek vengeance. I dunno, I reckon Gus could teach him a thing or two about being evil. The really scary thing about Gus is how likable he is when you first meet. Hi Monsieur, he actually feels like a pretty safe option at first. Unlike the Salamancas who were clearly bad news from the first time you see them, Monsieur. Honestly, I'm not really sure Gus is any more or less evil than any of the Salamancas. Gus was just more intelligent and calculating. So if you seriously crossed him, he was infinitely more dangerous. But if you left him alone, he wouldn't bother you. Gus might be evil, but he was at least predictable. Tuco was evil, but very unstable. Edit. Shut the fuck up about the box cutter already. Nice try. What culture? Minding your next video ideas. Haha. Remember when this comment used to be cracked? How far they fell. I miss me some OPCD. Mitch McConnell. Bullseye in Daredevil Season 3 seemed more evil than Kingpin. Fisk was definitely evil, but in a more reasonable, sympathetic way. Bullseye was made a little sympathetic too, but he also showed a way more sinister side. I dunno, Bullseye was clearly seriously unstable, but he genuinely made an effort to overcome his sinister tendencies to be good and fit into society. I think it's probably more evil that Fisk recognizes Bullseye's weakness, broke him down, and then exploited him for personal gain. Season 1 Fisk was sympathetic, but by Season 3 he was pretty far gone. In a believable way. Man, Daredevil Season 3 is so good. The second-in-command in it, man. Yeah, that dude was like an American propaganda ad of how the Japanese were. The commander has some sense of honor. His right hand was downright sadistic. I rewatched Ip Man a few weeks ago and I laughed out loud when I saw that guy because I had completely forgotten. Hi Monsieur, he literally looks like a racist caricature of a Japanese person. Voss from Far Cry 3. Not that I disagree, but isn't Voss the main protagonist antagonist for the first half of the story though? Voss isn't a protagonist, he's a villain that dies halfway through the game despite being in all the promotional art and ads for the game. He should have been the big bad. It's like saying the Koopalings are the main villains for the first half of a Mario game. Bowser's still the focus in the end. General Shepard, that guy was a monster. I couldn't believe how that mission played out. First rule of modern warfare. If you see a helicopter, run the other way. Do not get on it. Do not approach it. Something terrible is about to happen. Except in Chernobyl. Dear God, get to the helo in Chernobyl. Shigo from Kim Possible. Shigo is not more evil. She is a better villain and could be more successful if she ran things instead of Draken. But she chose not to take the evil action numerous times. Edit. Never did I think my most upvoted comment would be debating Kim Possible, but here we are. They even show it in the movie Such in Time movie. Shigo conquered the entire world and Draken ends up as her slave. Starscream 100%. Starscream needs to be pallbearer at Megatron's funeral so he can let him down one more time. You have failed me for the last time, Starscream. Roger in Lord of the Flies. Jack was mean and tough, but he was just a figurehead the whole time. Roger was the real mastermind. Roger saw Jack's lawlessness, his unbridled rage, the way he used his authority irresponsibly, and decided he could use Hi Monsieur, that kid's scary. Also he killed Piggy, which is an immediate -10 points. Asterisk leaderboard asterisk. Ralph, 200 points. Sam Narek, 199 points. Piggy, 150 points plus Asmar. That's it. Carl on Phineas and Ferb after he got hit with the Evilinator. He was far more evil than Dr. Doofenshmirtz and more effective. The point is that Doof isn't actually evil though. True, but he was the main antagonist for Perry the Platypus. Frank Fontaine over Andrew Ryan. Though I guess you could argue that Fontaine is the main villain in a way. Yet BioShock remains to this day an incredible game. I remember reading articles on it calling it the personification that video games are truly works of art and should be treated as such. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.